Now, if I'm not doing everything I can do and getting up early and using every hour of the day, then I just feel like a failure. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about self-acceptance versus self-improvement. I'm going to put on some makeup and get ready for the day and we're going to chat. I have recently had this idea on my mind and I just haven't quite been able to articulate what it was that I was feeling. Mostly, I think, because I'm just going to see whether these are actually hot enough to use yet. Recently had this on my mind a lot, and I haven't quite been able to articulate what it is that I'm feeling, or the real thought. I haven't been able to think it through to the end. And I don't know whether or not part of this is because my word of the month is growth for March. I don't know whether it's because February was really, really not a fun time for me, and so I am looking for an improvement to that. But since I hit 30, I've definitely been on a journey of, it would have been self-help, self-improvement, self-development, whatever it is you want to call it. I read a lot of books. I consume a lot of content about understanding yourself. And it's been fantastic. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about what makes everybody tick. It's improved exponentially the relationships that I have in my life because I just feel like I know why I am the way that I am. I understand my friends, my family, the people that are close to me all the more, and my methods of communication depends on the person that I'm talking to. Everything about that has been really, really valuable. One of the negatives of learning more about yourself and why you are the way that you are, which is just an absolute passion, I love it, is that you are almost too aware, too self-aware, and it makes you sometimes fixate on facets of your personality that maybe you are not super keen on. It can create this hyper awareness of yourself that can almost make you paranoid. If you know, I'm trying to think of an example of myself. So I know I talk a lot, which is great for YouTube because there's just one of me in this room and I don't have to leave space for somebody else to talk. But number one, I talk a lot. And number two, I know that because I've done YouTube for so long, I'm used to being the only person in the conversation. So I have to actively remind myself to be a better listener and listen to, I've had conversations with my friends before because quite a few of us are into self-development type stuff. And one of them had listened to a podcast or read something somewhere that was basically 90% of the time when someone's talking to you, you're not really listening to what they're saying. You're formulating a response in your mind. You're thinking about what it is that you're going to say in response to what they're saying, but you're not really actively listening. You're not giving them your time. You might be listening to this and thinking, that's not me, I don't do that. But I think the majority of people can identify with that. And that, once you know about it, it sticks in your mind. And that's something that you have in your head. Every time you have a conversation with someone, you're thinking, I must try to be better at this. So basically, self-improvement of any kind has created a little monster for me, because it has made me just hyper aware and constantly self-doubting and second-guessing everything. So this year I decided that I wanted to go on more of a journey of self-acceptance. And the more I read about this and the more I consume about self-acceptance, the funnier it is, because I feel like we're living in this weird time of this real contradiction. Because if you go online, it feels like everything's split into two. It's hustle, hustle, hustle. You should be doing more. You should be getting up at 5 a.m. You have as many hours in the day as Beyonce. This is the time to get fit, eat healthy, look after your body, all of that stuff. And then the other side of it is very self-love based, and very much, love the person that you are, try to accept the person that you are, and make friends with the person that you are. And it feels like those two, be kind to yourself, don't put too much pressure on yourselves to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Know your limitations and don't push yourself too hard. It feels like those two things are completely at odds with each other. And to some degree, I think they are. But here's my problem with the second. I mean, I have a problem with both of them. With everything, it's like always extremes. But if I was to just accept myself as I am, and look, this is who I am, this is what it is, it's never going to be better than this. I just have to accept that this is the person that I am, in whatever form that might be. That doesn't really work for me. I don't respond to that. I will just become lazy and bored. Put the rollers in your hair while you do your makeup. That's what they said. So I need something to be working towards. I want a middle ground. I want to feel good about myself, and I want to accept the things you cannot change, as they say. But I also want to strive to be better in the areas that I can be. I'm lazy. I'm physically lazy. I'm not lazy when it comes to work, but I am lazy when it comes to working out. Very, very much. And for a long time, I justified this, the rollers, guys. I justified it as I basically throughout my 20s ate and drank whatever I wanted, didn't exercise at all, and was at a point where I was like, well, I'm happy with what I look like. I'm happy with how I feel. I don't want to fall into a routine where I'm like exercising and eating a certain way all the time, and I have to continue to do that just to be slightly fitter than I am right now, because I had no grand designs on like becoming buff. That's basically how, up to this point, I'm 36 now, I have justified my less than healthy habits. They're not incredibly unhealthy, but I could definitely do a lot better. It's always a difficult topic. It's always a very sensitive issue to talk about anything like this, but I want to be very clear. I am not fit. I have quite a lot of constant pain with my back because I haven't done the exercises that I've been asked to do by multiple different physiotherapists. I am supposed to be strengthening my shoulders and my back, and I'm not doing it because in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, I don't have to exercise because I'm accepting myself. I have really, really quite terrible digestive problems. And if I made even the slightest effort to identify what they might be and eat better and just change this, we're not talking about a diet and exercise routine because I want to lose 20 pounds. For my actual physical health, I know these things would be beneficial to me. It's me from the future editing this video and realizing I didn't really finish that thought, and I'm going to get more into it in a second, but I think that it can be a really fantastic tool if it's something that is useful for you. But as someone who has usually had relatively good self-esteem and liked herself a fair amount, the self-acceptance movement has had a more negative impact on me because it's made me lazy. It's made me complacent. It's made me every time I feel like I'm moving forward in something, the moment I don't really want to do it anymore, I can lean back on, well, it is what it is. This is just who I am. Can't change who I am. Shouldn't want to change who I am. I've definitely taken the negative element of something that should be positive and applied that, which is not the fault of anyone else. It's purely just myself. But that is my point that I'm kind of trying to make here. Both of these things, independently used in the correct way, should have a positive impact on you, but either of them could also have a negative impact if you take the wrong thing from them. And it also can have a big impact on how I feel in self-esteem terms about how I'm doing in life. Like if I feel like I should be doing more, I should be more successful, I should whatever. It's all down to the fact that I'm consuming a lot of information about self-improvement. So it's definitely had a positive impact on me, for sure, but I can also see the negatives. And since I've been looking into a little bit more of the like physical self-improvement stuff and, reading a little bit about some healthier meal options and stuff like that, I feel as long as I'm not actually doing it yet, as long as I'm not actually making a concerted effort to do these things, they're just making me feel worse. Because in the same way that I will still follow all of these people on Instagram that are like, you know, girl boss hustler type people. And they were really motivational to me in the beginning. Now, if I'm not doing everything I can do and getting up early and using every hour of the day, then I just feel like a failure. And I now feel like I'm in this like no man's land of like self-improvement, self-acceptance, like limbo, where every time I see something that would, if I was in the right headspace, be really inspirational, now it makes me even more determined to change nothing because I should love who I am right now. Realise I'm very tangenty this video, but it's just kind of, I've said this before, but when I make these videos, it really helps me process things that I have had in my mind. Like I've got 15,000 thoughts and they're all floating around. And as I talk to you guys, I work things out. So I did talk about this on Instagram this morning. Is there anything left in this pencil? Or is it? Oh, there it is. I did talk about this on Instagram this morning. And instantly, as soon as I posted this, I wanted to take it down because unlike when you talk about mental self-improvement, although maybe it's the same and I'm just not seeing it, if I talk about physical wellness, physical self-improvement, like I said, what I think I might do is do like a walking challenge again, like a 10,000 steps a day, because I need something. I need to do something where I'm like accountable to do something specific. I can't just say, oh, I'm going to start walking again, or I'm going to start this, I'm going to start that. It needs to be a thing. I'm a collector. I need to tick off a done. So I said, baby, I'll do this. Would any of you be interested in a video where I share the results after 30 days? Again, because that would really help to hold me accountable to actually do it. And I said, but what would you want to see if that was an interesting video for you? What would you want to see in terms of results? Like, would you want to know about potential weight loss? Would you want to know about physical fitness? Would you want to see like before and after pictures? I know that I didn't take any pictures when I was doing it last year, but I noticed almost immediately. It was weird. I wasn't anticipating it because at that point I was walking for 100% mental health reasons. Within a couple of weeks, I was like, I think my body is changing, and I was doing nothing different. Like my back, which is something that I struggle with, I was noticing that I had less fat on my back. Which this sounds crazy, but you know in yourself, when you're walking, you can feel certain areas of your body. And my back, partly because of the back issues that I've got, I think I tend to gain weight on my back as like a protective thing. I have almost like a hump at the top of my back, bottom of my neck, which is like, you know, the puppy fat thing. And I've come to the conclusion, completely and individually of any doctors, this is just my theory, that my back is gaining mass over and around my spine to protect the fact that it's like out of alignment, because I've got an actual bump. Like if I lean against my husband of an evening, there's a point in my spine. So I noticed within 2 weeks it felt less, because I can feel it, you know, jiggles when I walk. So anyway, I asked whether or not people would be interested in, because I would be quite interested in that, if people would be interested in like results. But my main concern with this is, as I've just said, when I consume this information and I'm not doing the thing, then hearing people lecture me about what it is that I'm supposed to be doing just makes me feel worse. It makes me feel like I'm failing, like, oh, why am I not doing this thing that I'm supposed to be doing? And I do not want to be the source of that for anybody else. So I did say, you know, would you want that? Would you only want mental health updates and all of that stuff? And I haven't looked at the results yet. But it does feel like in this current world, we're not allowed to say, I want to lose some weight, because we have to love ourselves as we are. I'm going to just kill my eyelashes. I'm going to start with the walking, because that's a really easy one for me. And as the weather's getting a little bit, I can't do my eyelashes when I've got these curls in my hair, because that's a really easy one for me. And now the weather's a little less awful. She says it's probably going to snow tomorrow. That works for me. But also I'd quite like to finally get into some of these exercises that I was given by my physio to work on my back strength. So if you were interested, I could share that too. But I think I am going to do that. And I'm telling you now because I feel it's just insane. And I know, as with so many things that I'm like wrestling with, I know I'm not the only person wrestling with it, but it feels like it's not okay to say, do you know what? I want to exercise and get fitter. And I do want to lose a bit of weight. I don't hate myself. I'm perfectly happy when I look in the mirror. But I am very, very aware that I'm not someone who is going to just be naturally physically fit. I'm very, very fortunate that for the majority of my adult life, I haven't had to exercise or watch what I eat to be like a standard size. Very fortunate. And that has made me lazy. It has justified my laziness for a really, really long time. But as I get older and as I hear from friends who are older still about the problems that they're having physically, people who are having to have like joint replacements and things like that. And I think that I know that is me. I know that naturally I'm not going to be a physically fit older person as it is. So I'm going to have to work at that. So, if my initial motivation is I'll have a little bit of weight loss, I'll maybe lose the pandemic weight that it turns out I have, had no idea, I'm not as active, and I definitely am someone who is not going to be able to be complacent about that. So the earlier I start, the better. Do you know it's really difficult? It's really difficult to put rollers in your hair. It's a really difficult topic to address. It's something that over the years, I did actually. Again, this was 10 years ago. It was a different time. I did once upon a time talk a little bit about this when I was doing that kind of stuff after having myelin. And intermittently, I've talked about the 30-day shred, which I do think is great. It's not great for my knees. But I have, in recent years, felt very much like this is not okay to talk about. And I never, ever want to make anybody else feel bad with the content that I put out. But this year it was all about being more authentic online. And if ever I talk about anything like this, I'll always make sure to be clear about that in the title. So if this is not your vibe, this is something that you try and avoid, you can. But I think there has to be a healthy way in which we can discuss this, And I personally am looking for a way to reconcile that desire for self-acceptance, but also to want to be the best version of myself that I can be. And that does not mean, some buff, hard body bikini model at all. I'm talking, I just need to be, it is a form of self-care. It's a form of self-care to take care of yourself. When you identify something that you could change that would actually make you healthier, that's something that you shouldn't feel like you can't do just because you're supposed to like yourself the way that you are. Like, I really enjoy myself. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a fan. I like myself as I am. But when I have those conversations with people, I am thinking in the back of my mind, here's how you can be better for this person. I used to love to give advice to people. I still love to give advice to people. But the more I read and the more I listen to about things that affect other people, like if you've had something happen to you and someone says something that really makes you feel terrible, that person doesn't necessarily know what they're saying. They may think that they're doing the right thing. They may think that they're saying the right thing, and they're not, because it feels really belittling. And I'm super aware of when I'm having a conversation with someone who's having a hard time. Number one, your relationship with that person and who that person is going to have a massive impact on that. But also, don't minimize the problem that they're having. I'm always like, and everything happens for a reason, within reason. You don't say that to some people in certain situations, but I'm definitely someone who feels like you can grow from things that have happened to you, and you can learn from those experiences and you can become a better person. But not everybody wants to hear that at a certain time. And sometimes people just want to hear you say, that really sucks. That's a really terrible thing that's happened. And you don't need to fix that problem for them. They don't need you to make them feel better. They just need to vent, and they need you to hear them. So a great example of self-acceptance, marrying up with self-awareness is I like myself. I like that I'm positive. I like that I want to fix problems. I like that for me and for myself, if something comes up, I feel like I can work through it because I have that inner monologue of everything's going to be fine. You'll be fine. But I also need to improve how I'm communicating with other people because not everybody wants that. Not everybody needs to hear everything's going to be fine. Sometimes people need to hear, this is really shit right now, and I'm really sorry that you're going through this. There's literally nothing that you can do. And so that is me attempting to improve myself while still really enjoying myself. I love YouTube. I love making YouTube videos. I have no idea where this will take me in the future, where we will go with it, but I do know that I want to be able to do this forever. And so this year I decided to lean into making videos that I wanted to make, regardless of how well I thought they would be received. Making videos when I wanted to make them about the subjects that I want to talk about. That was an exercise in self-acceptance for me. That was an exercise in you don't have to mold yourself to fit in that box. You can create the box that fits you. But I don't want to close myself off to becoming better because I feel like it's the wrong thing, you know? Anyway, super random video, I realise. Very, not off topic, it was on topic, but it was very tangenty. Hopefully that was, I don't know, can't have been entertaining, insightful. If you've watched it all the way to the end, surely you were cleaning your kitchen or something, or you couldn't reach the remote. Just skip it to the next video. I think especially with everything going on right now, it feels all the more frivolous to want to make personal changes because we should be so grateful for everything that we have. But I just wanted to share that personally, everything's not fantastic, super shiny, happy, sparkly all of the time. And I'm going to share with you as we go how I'm feeling about the little changes that I'm making and whether or not I think they're actually doing anything. I'm particularly interested in changing the food that I eat and seeing whether or not that actually changes my digestive stuff because I'm not feeling so great right now. Any suggestions, any recommendations on that kind of stuff is very, very welcome. Feel free to DM me on Instagram if you want to talk more privately. And yeah, hopefully this didn't have an adverse effect on anyone. I don't want to make anyone feel that they should be doing something if they're not feeling it. But I am feeling it. I'm always feeling the need for a change, but particularly within myself.